More about this and welcome in Jack Brewer, who joins us now. He's the CEO of the Brewer Group, a retired NFL captain and a solution-focused man. Jack, great to talk to you. And, you specifically have been working very hard on this fatherhood legislation, getting it passed in Florida back in April. Governor DeSantis signed HB 7065, and this is the bill you worked so hard on. Talk to us about this and why it would be one of the solutions that we should be talking about when it comes to young men who've lost their way.
We're just seeing the impact that fatherlessness is having on our society. This young man was fatherless that committed these murders, I believe. But the confusion that's left in a young mind that doesn't have a mentor, doesn't have an influence, a father figure to show them the basic concepts of life. You really take the spirit out of the kids. And so we've replaced those things with video games. We've replaced these things with media, like we just saw, that confuses the hearts and mind of children. And what that ends up happening is you don't have a fear of God anymore. And so a child without a fear of God is dangerous. You can walk into a room and shoot 8 or 9-year-olds because you don't have a fear of God. You don't have that concept of humility and love and respect for life because you've never been taught that. As a matter of fact, you've been taught the opposite because you become immune to violence and playing video games that you can go out and lash out and kill dozens of people. Young minds don't have the ability to find reality without spiritual guidance and leadership and manly influence. And so, we have a generation raised by women, 18.5 million fatherless kids in America, all raised by women. So women are great. I love my mom and I love my wife. But I needed a man to come in with a heavy hand like my father and keep me straight. And that is what we're missing across our society as the largest fatherless nation in the world.
Any mentor will talk about this, and Jack, I know you see it with the kids that you work with so often with these young boys. When they don't have a father figure in their life, they are so angry about that, like they've been robbed of something that's so essential to every child, that they have that figure. And it doesn't have to be your biological father. We know that many times grandfathers can step in, uncles can step into that role here. Right. But when you hear this grandfather say, I talk to him every day, but I didn't know he had 2 guns like this. You got to wonder about that relationship.
You do. You know it wasn't as close as you would hope. For sure, I think that if my teenage son had guns and had these thoughts in his head, that I would know. You see pictures of this young boy. He's dressing up like a woman. He's obviously confused about who he is and where his standing is in life and had no direction in life. That is a real sad thing. These things shouldn't happen because if parents were actually out there, and like you said, grandparents, uncles, whomever, if you have a relationship with a boy, you will get to know what's really in their head and in their hearts and mind. This tragedy should have been avoided, but this tragedy is a warning across our nation, a warning of what fatherlessness can really mean and how it's affecting our society. And thank God we're focusing on this and not gun control, because if we get to the root cause of fatherlessness and we go into these schools and start allowing parents to choose whether their kids are taught spirituality and opening up with prayer in schools and getting the Bible back into the schools across America like they used to be when our founding fathers came and when our nation was growing, we didn't have these issues. And back then, everybody walked around with a gun. But it's the fear of God that's missing, John. And that's what we got to really take a couple steps back and be more bold to say it and not care if we offend people by talking about our faith. Because as long as we start to sit back and keep our mouth shut, we're going to continue to have a nation that has crises like this, that the world is now looking like, what's going on in America? They've lost their souls.
Well, Jack, I didn't want to cut you off because I know you've worked so closely on this problem in Florida. You're trying to get this expanded to the federal level. I did cut our time short with Aaron Perrine, who's going to be joining us as well, and Chrissy Clark. They're standing by. But real quickly, I wanted to give 30 seconds to each of you, Aaron and Chrissy, if we have time for that, just to respond to what Jack said. First to you, Chrissy.
I just think what he said is so absolutely perfect, that what we're seeing in this fatherless crisis is just so sad and detrimental to young men, because these lone wolf actors, they are going to be duplicated, unfortunately. This push for fame in a young culture is so, so sad. But strong male figures can, in fact, fix that.
Yeah. Aaron, next to you.
I completely agree with both of them. A strong family structure is really core to a strong America. And we're seeing where this mental health crisis is becoming exacerbated, and it's only further exacerbated by the rhetoric and the political tactics that people are taking to try and grandstand and make this seem something it wasn't. We need to look at the facts here, and we need to support real results, not just rhetoric.
I hate to cut this short. Unfortunately, we are out of time, though, but Chrissy and Aaron are coming back. We'll get them another opportunity to weigh in on some of this stuff and more. More stuff that's happening today. Jack, thanks for your insights on this, and thanks for all you do on this topic, so critically important. Guys, we'll see you in a sec.